Hi there, welcome back to the archives. I'm Gabe, king of poor life choices. Here's another one. Today I'm going to save you some time and like $4 because we're covering the beginning of the Age of the Black Empire series, Rise of the Black King. If it reads like I was writing my own high, it's because I was writing my own high. And I was like 19 when I wrote it. But enough about my poor life choices, let's summarize this train wreck. So, Retribution, evil monarch, bad dude, has had enough of humanity's nonsense. Having fused with this thing called condemnation, he has chosen to conquer the world. Iblis of Light has visions that something is going to threaten the world and calls together his highest advisors to warn them of the coming threat. In a preemptive move to lessen the strength of the invading force, he did commission something called the Android Defense Program and the Mech Control Unit. Apparently, this is a big deal, but neither one is ever mentioned again. Anyway, Dusk, on his space station, has realized something is wrong on the planet. Unsure of what, Iblis suddenly storms in and demands Dusk relinquish control of the Aerospatial Research Center, ARC. Dusk, citing the Treaty of Powers, declares ARC a sovereign space nation and automatically installs himself as ruler. After a bit of a scuffle, Dusk kicks Iblis of Light and his cronies off the ARC. Meanwhile, Retribution is doing evil things and is twisting the souls of prisoners into demons. The amount of power this takes attracts the attention of Dusk, who has decided to investigate. Hoping dealing with Retribution would be easier than dealing with Iblis, Dusk finds out that Retribution is up to no good. After another scuffle, Retribution scars Dusk with his very evil trademark magic, sending Dusk retreating to the Ark. Dusk equips himself with this fancy thing called Light Essence Armor and goes to warn Iblis that Retribution is up to very evil trademark things. Retribution intervenes in the warning and throws everything off by somehow convincing Iblis that he did not do the very evil trademark thing. I don't remember how the logic for this works, which is why this is the worst book. Anyway, Retribution goes off to find the four horsemen of the apocalypse because they'll make him stronger. Iblis starts playing on the chaotic side of good and starts building androids to help fight his war. Much like the other android things, this sounds important but is never mentioned again. An indeterminate amount of time later, Hope is introduced as a character. She fights a rogue Death Angel and meets with her brother Hate, who hasn't seen her in insert number of years here. They share words and Hate goes away and has very evil trademark thoughts. Then Hope's village comes under attack by demons, hell demons, not Retributions. Hope becomes a monster, saves her village, and is named village chief by the current chief who is dying because of the attack. Then she guides her people to the Bastion of Light where she pledges allegiance to the Iblan army. During that time, Retribution has absorbed the essences of two of the four horsemen. He returns to Capital City to see the progress of his army and is disappointed. Hoping to speed things up, Retribution strikes a deal with some rebellious Death Angels and closes the portal to Hell. Catching wind of this, Iblis has his own meeting with Retribution, which doesn't end well as Retribution reveals himself to be very evil, trademark, as he closes the gates of heaven. Now with the powers of heaven and hell locked away and off his back, Retribution launches the first attack on the unsuspecting citizens of Capital City, which, because of karmic balance, actually doesn't go well for him. So he figures he must finish what he started and absorb the powers of the remaining two riders. Thousands of years pass and Retribution absorbs the essence of war. Feeling strangely torn after this accomplishment, Retribution inside-outs himself and splits himself into his various emotions and fragments of his personality. Retribution's humanity, bolstered by the divisive magic of war, has decided it wants to rebel against Retribution because he is very evil, trademark. After a quick fight against Retribution, humanity is banished to the eternal plane where it will never be seen again. Dusk, on the other hand, has been very busy refining the process by which he makes Light Essence armor. Finally, after 10,000 years, Retribution absorbs the power of death and begins his plan to conquer the world. This begins with him having a meeting with all of the world's leaders. They round robin ideas to him, but he has no interest in their plans for his empire. After informing them that he plans on conquering their countries, many of them leave the meeting. The rest, believing they will get some benefit from joining Retribution right away, are assassinated and their countries are quickly and easily claimed by the Black King. The immediate threat of the newly founded Black Empire sends the rest of the world into a frenzy, many of them quickly mobilizing their military forces to fight against Retribution. They launch the first strike against Retribution, who quickly discovers that someone has been interfering with his plans. Because of this mysterious interference, Retribution actually loses the first battle in his attempt to conquer the world. But that is his only loss, as Retribution successfully and easily takes over literally every other square inch of land outside of Capital City. From here, he attempts to lay siege to Capital City and complete his conquest, but the intervention of Dusk makes that difficult. Dusk and the army of Man, now equipped with light essence armor, successfully hold off the Black King and his army for a few years before Retribution's scheming brings about his inevitable victory. In the immediate wake of Retribution's victory, Dusk convinces the Council of Man to fire the Star Shatter cannon, basically converting the Ark into a weapon capable of destroying the entire planet. Because a sequel exists, Insurrection, Retribution obviously stops that from happening and declares victory. In the aftermath of the Crusade, Retribution slinks away and begins the dull work of ruling the world. Growing bored with his new duties, Retribution constantly seeks a new foe that might be able to challenge his power. He eventually does find a mysterious challenger who's not only able to fight Retribution, but actually overpowers and defeats him. However, this figure does not kill Retribution, but leaves him humiliated and angry as the book ends. Except for the epilogue, where Dante shows up and sets up the beginning of Insurrection. And we'll talk about that eventually. For now, join me on Thursday when I'll talk about Iblis. The general concept of, not the character. Hi, I'm Gabe, and it took me a lot longer than it should have to record this Inslate. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing so you don't miss the next one. If you want more content from me, consider following me on Twitter, where eventually I'll tweet some more. If you want to learn more about anything I'm talking about or catch some details I missed, consider buying my books. Links are in the description below. Also consider checking out the Tumblr, where I post side stories and art about the books that I can't really put anywhere else. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.